Chernobyl, the night humanity could not see death. April 26, 1986. While most people slept peacefully in a small Soviet city, no one knew that within a few short hours, the world would witness one of the most terrifying lessons in human history. It was not a war. It was not terrorism. It was not a natural disaster. It was a catastrophe created by human technology itself, and the deadliest enemy that night had no smell, no color, and no visible form. This is the story of Chernobyl. If you enjoy stories of history, tragedy, and real events that changed the world, welcome to Missing History. Let's uncover the past, one story at a time. A city of the future. About 130 kilometers north of Kyiv, Ukraine, stood a city called Pripyat, built in 1970. Pripyat was designed to be home for engineers, scientists, and workers employed at the nearby nuclear power plant. In the Soviet Union, it represented progress. Modern apartment blocks, schools, hospitals, movie theaters, parks, everything a young family could need. The average resident was only in their 20s. To those who lived there, Pripyat was not just a city, it was a symbol of the future. And at the heart of that future stood the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant. Reactor No. 4. The Chernobyl plant contained several nuclear reactors, but the one the world would remember forever was Reactor No. 4. It was an RBMK reactor, a powerful Soviet design capable of producing enormous amounts of electricity. To Soviet officials, it was a triumph of engineering, but hidden deep within its design was a fatal flaw, a flaw unknown to many of the people who operated it. And on one April night, that flaw would reveal itself. The test that should never have happened. Everyone involved believed they were doing the right thing, yet every decision pushed the reactor closer to disaster. On April 25, 1986, operators prepared for a safety experiment. The goal was simple. If external power was lost, could the spinning turbine continue generating electricity long enough to keep critical systems running until backup generators started? The test had been attempted before. It had never fully succeeded. Management wanted results, but there was a problem. The test was delayed for several hours. By the time it began, the day shift had gone home. The night shift, less familiar with the procedure, was forced to take over, and that was when everything began to unravel. The trap inside the reactor. To perform the test, operators needed to reduce reactor power, but the power level dropped far lower than intended. The reactor nearly shut down. According to safety rules, the test should have been abandoned. Instead, under pressure to continue, operators attempted to restore power. They withdrew too many control rods. The reactor became unstable. What few people understood was that the RBMK design had a dangerous characteristic. At very low power levels, it could behave unpredictably, like a truck with failed brakes rolling downhill. Inside the control room, nobody realized they were sitting on top of a ticking bomb. At 1:23 in the morning, the test finally began. Almost immediately, reactor conditions started fluctuating. Power levels surged, then dropped, then surged again. The operators became alarmed. Someone made the decision to press the emergency shutdown button, AZ5. In theory, it should have stopped the reactor instantly. Instead, it triggered the disaster. The fatal design flaw. The most horrifying truth about Chernobyl is that the emergency shutdown system was not meant to cause an accident. Yet it did. The control rods contained graphite tips, As they entered the reactor core, they briefly increased the nuclear reaction before reducing it. Under normal conditions, this was not dangerous, but reactor number 4 was no longer operating under normal conditions. It was unstable, fragile, out of control. Pressing AZ5 was like pouring gasoline onto a fire. Within seconds, reactor power exploded upward, from a few hundred megawatts to tens of thousands, far beyond anything the reactor had ever been designed to withstand. Cooling water instantly turned to steam. Pressure built inside the reactor core, and within moments, the operators became part of the worst nuclear disaster in human history. The explosions. A massive explosion ripped through the reactor. Then another. The reactor building was torn apart. A lid weighing hundreds of tons was thrown into the air. Fuel fragments and radioactive graphite were blasted into the night sky. But the explosion itself was only the beginning. The reactor core was now exposed directly to the atmosphere. Graphite caught fire, and that fire burned for days. The flames acted like a giant chimney, pumping radioactive particles high into the sky. Hour after hour, day after day. The enemy nobody could see. Most people had no idea what had happened. Firefighters believed they were responding to an ordinary industrial fire. Residents thought a minor accident had occurred. Children attended school. Families walked outside. Many gathered to watch a strange blue glow above the power plant. It looked beautiful, but what they were seeing was intense ionizing radiation, invisible death, destroying their bodies without warning, without pain, without sound, without mercy. The most dangerous enemy that night had no face, no voice, and no visible form. Firefighters of Chernobyl. As flames rose into the sky, firefighters rushed to the scene. No one warned them about radiation. No one told them the reactor core had exploded. Some walked directly across radioactive graphite. Others picked up contaminated debris with their bare hands. Every second they remained there increased their exposure. Within hours, many began experiencing severe symptoms: nausea, vomiting, dizziness, weakness. Doctors initially struggled to understand what was happening, but the truth was terrifying. These men had received lethal doses of radiation. Within days, their bodies began to fail, their skin burned, their organs deteriorated. Many died agonizing deaths, yet they had continued working until the very end. A city living normally. While emergency crews fought the disaster, life in Pripyat continued. Children played in parks, people walked through the streets, families enjoyed the spring weather. Above them, radioactive clouds drifted silently across the city. The government had not yet ordered an evacuation. Every passing minute meant more exposure, more contamination, more damage, and nobody knew it. The evacuation. 36 hours after the explosion, evacuation finally began. Thousands of buses entered Pripyat. Residents were told they would be gone for only a few days. Bring essential items. Leave everything else behind. People obeyed. They left toys, family photographs, pets, homes, entire lives. Most believed they would return soon. They never did. The radiation crosses borders. At first, Soviet authorities attempted to keep the disaster secret, but radiation does not recognize borders. Days later, workers at a nuclear facility in Sweden detected unusually high radiation levels. Scientists began searching for the source. Eventually, the truth emerged. Something catastrophic had happened in the Soviet Union. The world was watching. and the fear spread almost as quickly as the radioactive cloud itself. The Liquidators. In the months that followed, hundreds of thousands of people were mobilized to contain the disaster. They became known as the Liquidators. Soldiers, engineers, miners, construction workers, volunteers. Some worked atop Reactor 4's roof, where radiation levels were so extreme that robots failed. Men were sent instead. Many had only seconds to complete their task. Run onto the roof, throw radioactive debris into the reactor, run back. Their sacrifice helped prevent an even greater catastrophe. The concrete tomb. To contain the radioactive remains, engineers constructed a massive concrete structure over Reactor 4. It became known as the sarcophagus, a concrete tomb for the destroyed reactor. It reduced the release of radioactive materials, but it was only a temporary solution. Decades later, an enormous steel arch, the new safe confinement, was built over the original structure, a second shield over the first, a monument to a disaster that could never truly be erased. The Ghost City. Today, Pripyat stands abandoned. Its famous Ferris wheel never officially opened. Schools remain filled with books. Classrooms remain frozen in time. Apartment blocks slowly surrender to nature. Trees grow through concrete. Silence fills the streets. The city has become a memorial, a snapshot of 1986 preserved for generations, a reminder of what happened when human ambition outran human caution. The legacy of Chernobyl. Chernobyl was not caused by one mistake. It was a chain of mistakes, design flaws, poor decisions, pressure from management, a culture where questioning authority was discouraged. Small failures accumulated until they became a global catastrophe. Thousands suffered, millions were affected. Large areas remain contaminated even today. Yet Chernobyl remains more than a nuclear disaster. It is a warning, a reminder that humanity's greatest technologies can bring both progress and destruction. Everything depends on how wisely they are used. And on the night of April 26, 1986, humanity learned that the most dangerous things in the world may be the things we cannot see. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this documentary and would like to explore more remarkable stories from the past, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and joining us again for another journey into history. Until next time, this is Missing History. Thank you for watching.